Hey guys, today I want to talk a little bit about the Modernization Act. And a lot of vloggers have been covering this here lately, and they're getting a lot of things confused. And I'm going to try to break this down a lot. I want you to, if there's one video, if you're worried about this 36-month thing being changed, you may want to listen to the end of this video because there's a lot more involved in this, and I'm going to get into all of it today. I spoke about this a long time ago on the first draft that was running around in the government over here in the Senate and the Congress and all that stuff. And the first draft, this is like the second draft of it or whatever. And last year, this thing was roaming around, and I commented on it then. And pretty much my comments are going to be pretty much the same if you heard the first one. So, but I'm going to dig into this one a little bit deeper as far as what's going on with this here, because there's been a lot of confusion and a lot of vloggers out there. And I'm not putting them down for this here. I understand because they see one vlogger put it out there, so they take what that vlogger says and then they kind of repeat what that vlogger says, and that vlogger is wrong. They keep talking about this Modernization Act that's going around, and they're talking about that they're gonna change this 36-month thing down to like 59 days or 3 months or something like that, and it's going to be really quick. You can only stay here and you got to go. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm like 95% sure of this, and I'm going to explain my rationale for this, because there's nothing in that bill, if you read through it, that talks about the 36 months. Okay, and I want you guys to really listen to this here, because it makes a lot of sense. And this came to me from one of my subscribers, and also a good friend of mine, Carl. Carl wrote in, and I've been friends with Carl for almost 30 years now. Carl's a very rational thinker and very smart guy. And he's writing to me about something that I was ready to comment on a while ago, and then I had the back issues. And I just haven't had time to really put my thoughts together on this, and I wanted to do something. And Carl kind of put all my thoughts into his thing. So I wanted to read his comment here, but I also want to comment after that. And what I have to say after that is going to make sense to everybody that's worried about this, because I want to take everybody's fears away that the 36-month thing is going to disappear. Let me read this here. Carl says, one of your viewers in your latest video on watching your spending asked about the immigration rule changes. Here's my response to him. He says, there's nothing in the Immigration Modernization Act that says anything about changes to tourist maximum length of stay. I read the entire document, as did I. And the reason some folks are getting confused about this is that it does specifically state that tourists are able to stay 59 days when they arrive, or 3 months in getting a visa prior to arrival. They missed the words initial stay, and I agree with what he's saying here, but there's more to it than that, and I'll get into that after. Let's see. And then he goes on to say, what's stated is merely repeating in the document that this document supersedes, okay? The document doesn't say anything about extensions, because you wouldn't want to change the entire new immigration law to deal with the occasional changes to the length of stay allowed for citizens of various countries. Now keep listen to what he just said there, because that's going to be what I'm going to be talking about after this, okay? Governments learned during the pandemic that such changes can occur frequently based upon changing conditions throughout the world for reasons related to health as well as other geopolitical considerations. Length of stay information will be documented in a memorandum attached to the Immigration Modernization Act. And nobody, as far as I know, has such a memorandum, specifically associated with the Modernization Act. So it's safest to assume for now that existing rules for extending an existing allowable maximum length of stay will remain intact. Okay, in short, all concern about changes for tourists is unwarranted. Not one YouTuber who has talked about this topic has shown anything concrete that would suggest a change to the rules, and all have made the same mistake of misreading the Immigration Modernization document. And they've been doing this since the last one, because the last one I commented about this too, and later on some of the newspapers wrote about this too, that it doesn't even talk about the 36-month thing. So if you want, go ahead. He says you can use to use all this if you want to update my topic. All expats are jumping the gun on upcoming changes to the immigration rules. Are expats jumping to the gun on upcoming immigration rules? He might be worth a video as the modernization will go into effect in July. Essentially, the modernization is about updating pay for immigration employees and rationalizing all their roles and responsibilities across the organization. All other parts, the rules and policies need to be included, so they are essentially repeated in this document representing the Immigration Act, okay? A lot of expats are seeing this stuff for the first time, as none are likely to have read the older law that supersedes, which I have read, by the way. And so they are taking only what they see, the initial 59-day or 3-month stay, as the entire allowable stay. And that's the thing, is a lot of these vloggers are getting this wrong. But here's what I mentioned before when we talked about this, like about a year or so ago or over, when they brought up the first draft of this thing, okay? In the United States, and this goes with the Philippines too. In the United States, we have Canada, we have Mexico. Canada can pretty much come in at will whenever they want. They can come into the United States and just cross the border, they show their passport, boom, they're in. Now, with Mexicans, they can't. Canada is an unrestricted country. Mexico is a restricted country. Because Canadians generally come in and they go back to their country, so they don't overstay their visas. Mexicans usually overstay their visas. El Salvadorans, people that's coming from south of the border generally overstay their visas. Filipinos are pretty well known in the United States also for overstaying their visas. When people do that, generally they become a more restricted country. So countries look at these countries and they say, okay, is this country a risk? So the Philippines generally looks at the United States as an unrestricted country, because we come in here, we usually generally don't overstay. Yeah, there are some idiots out there that have. They've been arrested. We have a couple up in jail right now, up in Taguig, I believe it is. And these guys come into the country and they're poor. They can't. They're basically bums that come into the country and they overstay and they can't pay their fees or whatever. So they stay here. They hide with some woman that's willing to pay for them and give them rice every day and food every day and stuff like that. These people are like a black eye to us, but those people don't really hurt us that much, because it's very few and far between that Americans overstay their visas here. We generally are pretty good at paying any things that we do. When we do overstay, generally most people, it's like 30 or 60 days by accident or something like that. We pay the fine or whatever and it's over with. Now, here's the thing. None of this stuff is in this document because of this restricted and unrestricted country thing. Each country has to have different rules. Okay, some countries may be longer depending on whether the Philippines likes them or not, or whether they help the country or whatever. And the United States is a big country that helps the Philippines militarily and also helps them with feeding programs, things like that. So of course they're going to give us that 36 months. Now, can I guarantee that 100%? No, I cannot, because they can always add to this bill if they want, and sometimes bills do get added to. What are the chances of them changing that 36 months? Probably nil to none. That's my thoughts on this. I would say I'm 95% sure that 36 months is not going to get changed, guys. It's not going to get changed. There's no concerns or worries. The other thing is, and here's more proof of that fact. Okay, during the COVID, there was a lot of people here. They had to go into the BI because they were on the tourist visa. They were bumping up against that 36 months. They went in there because the BI offered these people and told these people, hey, listen, if you need to stay here longer or whatever, we can help you. Let's come in and see us, and you can pay some sort of fee or whatever. As long as you pay these fees, you can stay longer. Because they knew the COVID was going on, and they knew that there was extenuating circumstances. And that was kind of proof, because they didn't bump these people out because they've already been here for 36 months. But they wanted to help these people because they wanted to wait till the COVID was over, because they knew some of these people didn't have a place to go back home because they were traveling or they lived here. The Philippines knows that a lot of these guys on the tourist visas come over here and spend money and they kind of stay here. But they kind of you know what I mean? They really do. And they're very good with Americans on that, because Americans bring a lot of money in here. And, a lot of people think it's just the opposite, that they're hardcore on Americans or whatever, and they are to a certain extent because they want people to follow the rules, and they don't like rule breakers. The Philippines is a nation of rules. As long as you follow the rules, and if you go to them and ask them for help, on most occasions, the Philippines is a very helpful bunch of people, or they're going to tell you, no, you got to go home. Okay? But this 36-month thing, don't worry about it. They're talking about the initial stay. The initial stay is what they're talking about. Okay? That's probably going to change for the longer. Here's the thing about that. That is a good thing, and I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of people want to usually stay like a month and a half, 7 weeks or whatever. So if they can say 60 to 90 days instead of that initial 29 or 30 days, then think about this. It's going to be way better for them. And also, the throwaway ticket, you could buy it for 90 days later or 60 days later, whatever they make that. If it's 60 days or 90 days, whatever they change that to, that throwaway ticket rule would probably change too along with that, because that throwaway ticket, and I've yet to find like a place where I can find that written. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. If anybody has it, if you could send me a link to that in the comments section. I'd like to find that because it's hard. A lot of other people have said that they can't find it either. I know it's probably out there somewhere. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place or something. But I know it's a written rule somewhere out there that you do have to have that throwaway ticket. A lot of people talk about this and they say, no, you Steve, you don't need a throwaway ticket. No, you do need the throwaway ticket. When they look you up with your passport number, they know whether you have a ticket or not. Sometimes it does get missed, and sometimes they overlook it or whatever because it's not really that big of a deal. So some people say, oh, you don't need it, Steve. And in some cases you do need it. They make you go buy another ticket or whatever to show that you're leaving, even if it's just to Singapore or something like that. So you do need that throwaway ticket, and I highly recommend that you do get that, because it can be a pain in the butt. If you get over here, they make you go over to the ticket counter. You got to come back. You got to go through a whole mess. It might hold you up for an hour or two, or maybe even longer, where you got people outside the airport waiting for you to pick you up, and they're wondering where you are, and you can't contact them because you don't have phone service or whatever. It could be a big problem. But I just want to put that out there, guys, for you guys, because a lot of people are getting worried about nothing. And I just want to kind of, take down that level of stress for you guys out there, for you guys that are on the tourist visa and all worried about this, because it's a lot of vloggers that are making something bigger than it is. And there's a lot of vloggers out there. I don't think that they sit down and do their homework often. They just get out there to vlog and try to make that $50 a day or $100 a day or however many it is for the average video that they put out there. And that's not cool. I'd rather not put out a video if it's a bunch of hokey. I want facts to back up what I say. And when Carl wrote this to me, those are the words that I would have put out. Because I was thinking about putting something out, but I wasn't feeling that good. As you can see, I still don't even feel that good now. My immune system, my sciatica and everything, and taking these pills is not helping me that well. But I felt well enough today that I could get out there and do a vlog anyway. And as you can see, my face is a little bit drawn, and I just haven't been feeling that well. But anyway, I wanted to throw that out there for you guys to alleviate some of that stress for you guys, because in all honesty, I would say I'm almost 95 to 99% sure, unless they add an addendum to that or something, which is unlikely that they would do that. We're bumping up against July pretty soon here. It's very highly unlikely. I did see the first draft. I saw a little bit of the second draft, and there's nothing in there that's talking about changing that 36 months. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope that alleviates a lot of your fears, guys. God bless. Take care.